did that, and I think she continued to give herself flexibility to have credibility on that issue.
Yeah, Joel, she really hit the Palestinian-Israeli question, I would say, perfectly.
Yeah.
Security for the Israelis, dignity and sovereignty for the Palestinians, that is the equation.
Yeah.
Implementing it, of course, is another matter.
By the way, not all that different from where Joe Biden is. It's just a matter of the messenger, and does the messenger have the credibility, and does she allow for the hard work to be done for peace to be brought about in that region of the world? I think she continued to do that, and she was able to manage it politically.
Joel, thank you very much. Major, as I sent it back to you in New York, I said it was hard to hear some of the speech because there was so much applause in the arena, but I got a copy of it here. There's so much that stands out describing her approach to leadership, and there's a note here where she says to the audience she'll be a leader who leads, yes, but also who listens. That stands out this morning as well.
They're saying the same thing you said, but from a glazing angle, not at all different from Biden. I know. It seems like Jon Stewart was critical, but in a funny way, and said the exact same things that I said. Okay, but people didn't get mad at him. It seems to me like CBS Mornings is saying the exact same thing that I said, but this time as a positive, right? And no one's getting mad at them. Once again, the reason why I'm pointing to this is because people are not reacting to the actual statements. They're reacting to the fucking vibes. People, I make you feel bad because you want unconditional loyalty. You are understandably afraid of a Trump presidency. And you think that, like, I am going to be able to change the outcome of this election single-handedly if I don't just defend Kamala vociferously. But understand that ultimately what I'm saying is correct. Okay? Here, now we'll watch the undecided voters that said Harris's speech made up their minds.
Well, Harris,
because this was a banger from the undecided voters' minds at this
portraying
point.
herself as an underdog candidate and a fighter, she addressed her party's convention on this closing night here in Chicago. Right now, we're getting reaction to the vice president's speech from some undecided voters in the crucial battleground of Pennsylvania. Seen as Gary Tuckman is in Allentown. So, Gary, who's with you, and what are they saying about the speech?
Well, Anderson, we do come to you from Allentown in the heart of the beautiful Lehigh Valley in eastern Pennsylvania, and we are with 8 residents of the Lehigh Valley who've been watching television with us tonight and watching Kamala Harris's speech. I do want to say they all have something in common, as you said, Anderson. None of these people before tonight have made a decision about who they will vote for in November. And at least one person here before tonight wasn't sure she was going to vote at all because she doesn't like either of the candidates. Also, what they have in common, 5 of these people, they are all 5 of them loyal union members from the UAW local, United Auto Workers, here in the Lehigh Valley. So thank you all for being here. First thing I want to ask you, I want you to grade the speech, okay? A is excellent, B above average, C average, D below average. We all know what F is. Let's start with you. How do you grade the speech?
I gave her a B+.
B.
B+.
A.
B+.
A.
A.
C.
C. So mostly A's and B's with 1 C. I want to ask you why you made the decision you made. First of all, we start with Scott, who is the president of the UAW local here in the Lehigh Valley. Scott, what grade did you give it again? B+.
B+.
How come?
I gave her the high grade because I thought she looked very confident. I liked how she spoke from her heart. I liked her message of unity and the division that we have in America. I like her fight for the middle class and families. The reason I didn't give her an A.
I love watching focus groups because it just like completely showcases the insanity of the median voter. But of course, in this circumstance, when you have people saying like they loved Kamala Harris's speech, people will all of a sudden forget that like this is oftentimes not an exact demonstration of like how people operate, and it simply just shows how crazy normie voters are.
A was I thought she needed to go into a little more detail on some of her plans, of how she would, do some of the things that she envisioned.
Okay, Lindsay, you're in sales. You're the person who wasn't sure she was going to vote for anybody because you don't like either of these 2 candidates. I'll ask you more about that in a minute, but first, what grade did you give the speech?
I gave it a B.
How come?
I thought it was a good speech. I mean, she did what she was supposed to do. I liked that she was talked about her upbringing, made it feel a little more like personal. But yeah, I thought it was a good speech.
Okay, Andy, you're also with the UAW. You make cars and trucks for us Americans, so thank you for that, along with the rest of you. Your grade again was?
B+.
And how come B+?
I liked her planning for the middle class. Like my wife's a nurse. I'm an auto worker. I'm as middle class as you can get. I just felt like she should go a little more in depth. But I guess I understand you can't really go as in depth in these speeches. But a little bit more would have been like nice.
Okay, Donna is your mother.
Yes.
Donna's a retired dental hygienist. Donna, what grade did you give it again?
I gave her an A.
And how come an A?
Because she hit all the points that I wanted to know about. I wanted to know more about her economic policies, her foreign policy. I know she.
I mean, she talked about foreign policy, but like in terms of economic policy, what I think that was part of the reason why I thought her fucking speech was not great. She has some policies that she's floated already that I would have liked to hear her commit to and reiterate. Like in terms of domestic policy, in terms of like, she basically just vaguely talked about once again how she's going to build more housing units, which is fine. Like that's not a bad issue. But like, that was one of the reasons why I was upset with her speech. In terms of like, in terms of her speech, I want her to do a Bernie style speech. Maybe not to the same degree as Bernie, but I want her to, and maybe not the same policies as Bernie, but I want her to fucking run on issues. You know what I mean? I want her to run on issues. The idea, I think that like, if you want, you already have people on your side, okay? You already have voters that are going to go out and vote for the Democratic Party. You have some undecided voters, but there is a shit ton of voters who are not voting in the voter eligible population. I still maintain the belief that what Bernie failed to do in the primary, the Democratic Party could absolutely do in the general, which is activate those non-voters with exactly what you are going to do for them by communicating what you're going to do to them. That's it. And Walz does a pretty good job of like, you know, keeping on message with issues and with what he wants to do.
Couldn't go into depth about that, but I mean, I felt that she looked very presidential. She sounded presidential, and I think she's going to be a unifier.
Yeah, by the way, going into tonight, Andy was 60-40 with Kamala Harris.
Yes.
You were 50-50, which is interesting. We'll talk more about that in a second. Patrick, also with the UAW. Dwayne, you gave it again?
A B+.
How come B+?
Well, she was very confident in what she was saying. She showed leadership ability and understanding of the topics at hand. But again, she didn't go in depth. I did like what she said.
Like, they're all reiterating the same thing. They're all repeating the same thing I said. Like, I'm not expecting people to do like Elizabeth Warren style nerdy shit either. Okay? They're saying the same shit though. They're like, yeah, I like the speech. Vibes are good. Where are the policies? I would like to hear more about that. And these are like undecided fucking voters who are obviously primed on optics in general. Because like their minds were changed through the optics alone. But even then, there's still a desire for more policy. Because every American, unless they are a party loyalist, every American still obviously has that understandably selfish desire of, what are you going to do for me? What will you do for me? And then once we look at what will you do for me, the second question always is, are you actually going to do it? Like, are you making these proposals in an earnest manner? Are you really going to fight for me? Okay? That it's pretty basic stuff. It's not that difficult. I swear to fucking God, it's not that difficult. You're a politician. You're supposed to go up there and be like, I'm going to give you this, 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 this. And then you're supposed to say, I'm going to fight for you in a way that is convincing. It's that simple. That's what politics is supposed to be about. Chomsky on voters in Vietnam, very relevant. To answer why people are mad at me, from what I can see, online differences, the vibe you give is speech is trash, no style, terrible, fuck this, since your tweet said that law, but these people plus jank and media, our speech is amazingly good, well delivered, A+, just need more details. No, not these guys. Jon Stewart literally also said that the DNC vibes were fucked. He didn't say it was A+ at all. But you're right. I do use more direct language because I'm tweeting it. But that's not what I was talking about. I'm also talking about how people receive it in here. People's reactions in this community were also very aggro. Like, they found it ridiculous that
about what she's going to try to do for the middle class, about a tax break for us, which will be very nice, but still a little bit more information on some of the things that she's planning on doing.
Sean, also at the UAW, the grade you gave it again?
I gave her an A.
How come?
I was looking for policy information. I really wanted to see some substantive policy information. And I thought she did give enough. I like what she gave on military, what she wants to do for our veterans, and with border control. I just think that she has a lot of good ideas, and she's very well spoken. I think she was very professional.
Sabrina is your daughter and also a UAW member, helping to make cars and trucks for America.
Wait, but she didn't even say any substantive policies on the military. She just said she's going to have a fucking super hard dick. I love the American voters so much, bro. The best.
America. Your grade again?
A.
How come an A?
I think she was very well spoken. She was very clear on what her policies were and elaborated on them with the time given, and the fact that she's wants to bring back rights for women.
And Brian, you're in real estate. You're a nice guy too, like everyone in this panel, and you gave the only C. How come you gave a C?
She was
because he's a Trump supporter secretly, and he got on this panel as a Trump supporter.
been clear enough on the policies. She did speak a lot of her personal history, which was great. But I still don't feel like she's ready. I feel like more so she should wait. I don't want to, per se, vote for someone that is a backup.
All right, well, but I'm going to ask you shortly. You're obviously not ready to vote for Kamala Harris.
Right.
I'm sure about that.
Right.
But what I want to ask all of you all together at this point, like I said, none of you were ready to make a commitment to any candidate in November. Please raise your hand right now if you're now ready to make a commitment after today. Wow. I'm just kind of surprised by it. We haven't rehearsed this. I'm going to make that very clear. Maybe we'll attest to this. 7 of you are now ready. Scott?
Yes, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris.
Andy?
Yeah, Kamala Harris, yes.
Donna?
Yes, I'm voting for her also.
Sean? Sean?
Yes, Kamala.
Sabrina?
Carmela.
Patrick?
Kamala.
Brian?
Trump.
Trump? And finally, Lindsay.
Still probably not voting.
So probably you don't like either of them.
Nope.
Okay.
What led to...
Wait,
you all-
didn't she give her like an A? What the fuck? God, I love focus groups, man. Bro, this is why I love focus groups, because it shows the absolute depravity and the lack of coherence in the mind of an average American voter, dude. She said it's a B+, and I still am not riding. She's like, I fucking love that speech. I gave it a standing ovation. And if you think I will vote for her, you're delulu. I respect the commitment that people have to just being impossible to decipher. It's pretty cool.
While making a decision, was it that decisive of an evening, Scott?
Yeah, I really, as I said before, I really liked her comment.
Like, she could be a single issue voter or whatever, but like, you have to remember, then why did she rate her a B plus? Like, her speech. You know what I mean? Shouldn't you be saying that it sucked then? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, she could have been like, oh, I'm a single issue voter, and she didn't mention my single issue. What's up? Hi. Look at that little tail wag.
Confident. She's really seemed presidential. She seemed very confident. Like I said, she spoke from her heart. I liked how she filled you in on her background, that she struggled, her mother struggled,
All right.
middle-class family.
And Donna, you were 50-50 going into the evening. What made you make a decision?
Well, I've been doing research since she was, the nominee, and I like what I'm reading. And here, I've been watching the convention, and her speech was just, that just sold me.
And Brian, you decided on Trump. What about tonight? Because when we met last week, you were undecided. What about tonight made you decide you were going to vote for Trump?
Her speech was great. I like how she went into personal history again. It was just not moving for me.
But it made you think that Trump's a better candidate than her.
He's here for it. He's a little bit more aggressive. She's aggressive in her way, but I think she'll be aggressive in the next term.
So Trump over Harris for you, Harris over Trump
What?
for most of you. What I will
Breaking. Last night's VP Harris speech, one CNN undecided voter panelist said he'd now vote for Trump. We found his pro-Trump social media posts, including Trump's mugshot, and disappointed that Mike Pence didn't overturn the election. I wonder if they looked into the background of the pro-Kamala ones, too, to see if they were also already pro-Kamala. Because a lot of those panels are kind of silly in general.
I'll tell you, 75 days now until Election Day. So, Lindsay, you have a few more nights to sleep on it. Thank you all for coming and joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anderson, back to you.
Gary Tuckman, thanks. That was fascinating.
It was fascinating because instead of talking about the Trump curious, which we often talk about, we have Kamala curious. Mm-hmm. There are some people who still want to know more. They're not all the way there. And I think, that is going to be an interesting dynamic in some of these battleground states where there are still swing districts. I don't necessarily believe we can have wild swings the way we used to, given gerrymandering, et cetera. But there are people who want to know more.
One of the things that was said there's no doubt about that, one of the disadvantages she has, and Scott's talked about it a lot, is she's the vice president. So what did she do as vice president? The advantage she has is people don't know a lot, and they're getting new information, and that new information, certainly the way she told her story tonight, the way she shared her views, was, I think, important. The two things that I want to mention is, I think that the line that probably tested best in this whole speech was, I will be a president for the whole country, because that's such a contrast with the way Trump presents himself. And then the whole end of the speech was a paean to America and basically going after the idea of denigrating the country, which has been so part and parcel of Trump's attack. I think people like to think of America as a positive place, and that was the tenor of the end of her speech, and I think it was very powerful.
It's crazy how the 2020 public was more pro-immigration than ever before, and then 2024 public is more anti-immigrant than any time in the last 2 decades.